Hey, what's up guys? John from Linkswell with another installation video. And in this installation video, we're going to be installing our new T-Style XL 15.6 inch screen in our 13 to 18 Dodge Ram. So if you got a Dodge Ram and you're looking to add our XL radio, this is the video for you. So let's get going. All right guys, that's right. I said we are installing a 15.6 inch screen in your 13 to 18 Dodge Ram, but let me just do one quick thing. Year 2013 is actually a split year. So if you have a 2013 that looks like the 2012, unfortunately this system is not going to work in your vehicle. But if you have the 2013 that looks like the 14 and up, this is the radio for you, 15-inch screen going in. So this one's going to be a little different than our previous generation radios, our previous T-Style radios. Our XL screens, I've mentioned before, are completely redesigned. They're actually designed to look like they're holding a floating screen, like the new screen or like the new cars come out with. So that's what this looks like. So rather than us just replacing the black trim bezel like our normal T-Style will, like our Gen 6 will, our 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and all have, we're actually going to replace the entire piece here. So what that means is there's going to be a little bit more work on your part for the install, and that's because there's a few different variations of the big dash. The center part is always the same no matter which one you have, but the big dash is different. So inside your kit you should come with a little paper here, and there will be two sets of side pieces. I'm just going to grab the one that I can reach right here. So you have two sets. They're going to be either you have the truck like we're in here where it's a bench front seat, no center console. That's going to be one set of the side pieces. The other set of the side pieces are going to be, if you have the center console, then you're going to put the other end pieces on top of it. Both are coming in the kit. You're going to flip them around, you'll screw them in. I will do a real quick overview on it. I'm really assuming that if you guys are trying this, you know how to put a few screws in. But that's one thing to pay attention to. You don't want to lose those bezels because, well, it won't fit if it doesn't. It's not going to trim up. So what we'll do here is I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of pull the dash apart. I'll speed the video up just so you know, depending again on what version of truck you have, will change how this comes apart. The ones that do not have the center console or less work, just you guys are lucky, I guess. So you're gonna pull some Torx out of the top of the dash here. There'll be a Torx in the pocket here. And that's pretty much all I'm gonna need to do to pull off the main bezel. And then there'll be a couple 7mm holding on the factory screen, and we'll take that off. Now note this pocket on the passenger side, the shift knob, and these switches here are all going to have to come out of the factory bezel and into ours. So don't just get willy-nilly and throw that stuff around. So you are going to have to swap those pieces around. Now if you've got the center console piece, again, even varying in the years, how you take that apart is going to be a little different, but you're going to have to pull like the side panels off that go along the side here. You're going to have to pull off this other tray. There'll be a little pocket. It's going to be a little bit more work because you're going to have to pull more stuff off in order to get this the bottom of this to clear. But I don't have that truck, so I'm not going to do that. If you have that one, you can actually find my Generation 2 T-Style installation for a Dodge Ram. I believe I did it on a console one there, and you can follow that tutorial as far as tearing it apart. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll get it all tore apart, and then we will talk a few plugs. If you've watched any of the install videos, everything's pretty close to the same. A little different when it comes to the plugs just because we got a couple extras. We'll talk about how to put together the bezel, and then we'll plug everything in, we'll get it going, and then you guys will get to see a 15-inch screen up in this Dodge Ram. So you're gonna wanna go ahead and get that T20 to get the Torx out. So I'm gonna pull these Torx out, pop this off. I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, get the screen out with the 7mm. And then once I have everything apart, we'll talk about swapping pieces and we'll keep going. Cool, let's do it. Okay guys, so here is the back side of the XL. So you can see all these screw holes here. Inside your radio kit should be a small bag with a bunch of really small screws. So you're gonna make sure you don't lose that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove all of the pieces from our factory bezel. Let me pull this out of my way here so I can talk about it. So we need to We need to pull this pocket, we need to pull the shifter, we need to unsnap these. We're gonna have to pull the air vents out, and then as well the pocket that snaps in here, this part of the pocket is gonna come out with us as well. So we're gonna need this pocket, all of these bits and pieces, and they're gonna go into the new bezel. We're also going to be installing, like I said, the side bezels. This one says for with armrest, this is the one without. So this one here is going to be the one without the console. The main difference is the shape down here at the bottom. So we're going to mount these, and like I said, guys, it's line up, put the screws in to try and keep the video as quick and short as possible. I'm going to assume you guys are incredibly talented at what you're doing, and you can put some screws in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my screwdriver. I'm going to pull all of these pieces out. I'm going to put all of the stuff into our new one. I'll flip around and show you the back, and then we'll talk plugs. And then ultimately, guys, we're pretty much close to putting it in. So yeah, let's do that. Let me get all this apart and we'll talk again. So one thing I failed to mention, and I apologize, is you should have seen a hazard switch. Hazard switch would have been in there. And so depending again which side pieces you have, one of them will have a spot on the top here for you to snap your hazard switch into because we have to relocate it due to the thing moving. So you make sure you don't lose that hazard switch. Make sure you don't forget to plug it in. There will be a harness on the radio that it'll plug into. But yeah, cool. I'm gonna mount these. Let's keep going. Okay, I lied. One more thing, because I forgot to say this too. Sorry, totally new install for me. The screws, you're gonna put the screws into the side panels before you put the air vents and stuff like that. You should notice that already, that some of the holes aren't there because they're gonna mount to the panels we're putting in. But yes, mount our side pieces, the wings, before the rest of the parts. Cool? Sweet, let's keep going. All right, guys, I just felt bad because I didn't show you the back of this. So here we are on my phone. But you can see here's your small bag of screws. I mentioned they are tiny. We're talking like P0s. But you can see we're gonna hit all those screws on the side to get that bezel in there. And then that'll be all nice and pretty. And then once it's in, we can mount this thing. You can see there's the hazard switch I mentioned right there. And then here's the harness coming off the side. So you wanna put this in, kind of push it off to the side when you plug it in. But that's that. So I got one side mounted. I'm gonna put the pieces in. I'm gonna go to the other side, put this in. So it goes on the front, screws go through the back. And then we'll get there, and then we will talk about plugs and whatnot and keep moving. All right, there you go. Now you've seen the back. I feel better now. Thanks for helping me clear my conscience. All right, bye. All right, guys, the last thing we want to take off are the clips here around the side of our factory panel. Yep, so we're gonna do that. Sorry for the sweaty face. We're in SoCal, it's like 107, and my bay ain't air conditioned. So anyway, welcome to my pain. Cool, let me pull those clips and we'll keep going. All right, we are roasted and toasted out here, but we have got our panel all put together. All of our pieces are over there, our clips are over there. That dash bezel is ready to go in. So let's talk some harnesses. So real quick, let me go through all of the basic generic harnesses that are just pretty much across the whole board on all of our radios here. So we've got our red USB. This one is going to retain your factory USB and give you a secondary USB. I'll say it like I do every video. Your factory hubs, your factory USBs will no longer do CarPlay, and a good chance it won't do any more Android Auto as they continue to upgrade the Android Autos. Let me explain it. The factory hub actually has all of the electronics in it that is needed and required to regulate voltage and resistance and all of that, to allow the handshake between an Android phone and an Android Auto device, or an Apple phone and a CarPlay device. And what happens is all of those are internal on our radio, and so when you try to plug them in, it double regulates and it gets all screwy, and it's just not going to work. So that's not going to work. But what we've done is we've since added wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, which actually is better because then you can do it wirelessly and you can actually use a fast charger, which most data ports are fast chargers. So just get a fast charger, and if you need to charge your phone while you're driving, just plug it in. Maybe even get one of the wireless chargers. You can get one of those too, connected to wireless CarPlay. But just know there's a chance that if you try to use those factory hubs, it's not going to even charge. Again, it's going to be 100% due to the voltage and everything that's in that, or those resistors and everything that are in that factory hub. Just really not much we can do about that. I understand it's frustrating, but it is what it is. Now you can take those hubs apart, and I have done it. You can take those hubs apart, cut them up, and then mount ours in there, and it'll make it look factory, though it's not factory, and it'll function like it's factory, simply for the fact that it'll work whatever it needs to work. But that's 100% on you. Again, with the wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, not necessarily a big need. But here's your red plug, and then we've got our green plug, which is basically just a power output for accessories. Could be a DVR, camera module, something like that. You're gonna have an accessory, a ground, and a constant coming from that green plug. You've got the black plug here, which is your camera input plug. So here's where you're gonna have the different inputs for factory reverse camera or aftermarket reverse if you're adding an aftermarket. A right camera and a front camera, so we can auto set those to turn the turn signal on or something. If you wanna do more than 3 cameras, you're gonna have to get one of our multicams, or you'll have to use another camera switcher and interface to the factory reverse camera like you would in the aftermarket radio. It's doable. We'll give you 3 inputs. If you want more inputs than that, check out our multicam. We've got a couple videos about it on there, on our YouTube as well. You have our satellite antenna, GPS antenna. Now hear me say this, even if you're not using iGo, which honestly most of our customers don't pay for the iGo, even if you are not using iGo, you need to put this in because Google Maps needs it, the tablet needs it, any app you're going to use, whether it's the DVR, whether you use our DVR, and that's going to need it because it's going to give its location. You have to put this in even if you're not using iGo. So don't think, oh, I'm not doing navigation, I don't need it. You do. You have to make sure you put this in. Now this can go under the plastic, cannot be under metal. So for us, we're going to put it up here on the air vent, no metal above it. It just is what it is. Sometimes it works better outside, so if you notice that you're not getting very good locations, you might want to pull this out. Could be the tint on your car or something like that. But the clearer space for it to the sky, so less things in the middle of it or in front of it from the sky, the better it will work. We have our auxiliary in. So here is our red, white, yellow for an auxiliary in. Now, with the XL and the Generation 6, we do have an HDMI module you can purchase that will take over one of the inputs and allow you an HDMI input. So if you prefer an HDMI input, which most devices nowadays are HDMI input, but there are still some that you would want this auxiliary. So here's the auxiliary. We actually can use the audio the left and right audios to retain the factory CD player. If you have the Dodge Ram with the factory CD player, we can actually retain that, and I'll talk about that when I get to the main harness. Or if you have the factory 3.5 aux, again, there's your audio. So we'll be able to keep that part working if you've got the factory hub using this plug here, and I'll talk about that when I get to the main harness. Our USB 3, so here is another USB. It's a white plug. It's got a standard USB for, well, USB things. And then we have the yellow plug here, which is our RCA pre-outs for your like aftermarket amplifiers and your microphone input. So let me say it, you have to install a microphone, guys. You have to. We do not retain the factory microphone. There's a long list of reasons why. The main reason why is that microphones are not created equal. So one, we would have to find different hardware for different makes and models. Two, if anything should ever happen with that factory mic or harness or loom or anything like that, we would have no way of controlling the quality on it. And so it just puts our customers in a place where we can't help them and you get frustrated, and we're not about that. So I get it, you like the factory look. Now you can pull these factory microphones out and use the mount to put our microphone in if you'd like, so it looks factory, but you are going to have to install our microphone, which is this guy right here. Understand it's not the prettiest microphone, but it does function, it does work, has to be installed. But this will plug into our yellow plug. A couple new things for the T-Style XL and the Generation 6 is we have a SIM card input now, so I'll show you that when I pull the bezel up, which means you need two antennas. So there should be two antennas that look very similar to our Wi-Fi antenna. Our Wi-Fi antenna will look exactly the same, but we'll have a different plug. So there should be two of these with the red, like European looking style plug. This is for your SIM card if you're going to use built-in service, and then you will have one, like I said, looks identical with the screw for the Wi-Fi. All three of these must be installed. Let me tell you why. Even if you plan on going only SIM card, never Wi-Fi, your wireless CarPlay and your wireless Android Auto require a Wi-Fi connection. Without the antenna, it's not going to work. Now, if you're never going to put a SIM card in, and you can get away with not putting in the 4G antennas. But I think if you're getting a Gen 6 or an XL, adding a SIM card, you're gonna do it. I just think you'll do it. Even if you don't plan on doing it, I think you'll do it. Just because it's super nice to have internet on the radio constantly, and then the radio can actually produce a hotspot for other devices should you be doing a road trip. So that's pretty cool too. But these guys here, same thing, keep them as far away from metal as possible. They can go under the plastic, so I will probably mount them under the plastic. Now understand, like any reception, the clearer view of sky, the higher up you can get it, the better it will be. So if you want to run these up, maybe put about the windshield up by where the headliner meets, or down below so that it's got a clear shot of the sky, you will probably get better reception than somebody that wants to put them behind the plastic. It's 100% your choice, should work both ways. If you notice that you're having really bad service or a really bad connection, or you just can't get all the bars for your SIM card or even the Wi-Fi, maybe try moving those things around, get them away from metal. But you should have three of these antennas. They're going to go in, and then the last antenna is going to be our FM antenna. And let me say this, guys, 99% of the time when people say, hey, I have no FM, it's because you've plugged into the wrong one. If I can show you real quick here, there are 3, 4, and sometimes 5 antennas that have the same plug that this guy will go into. So how do you know which one's the AM FM? It is always going to be the big, fat, looking like the cable coax that you have running in your house. It's going to be the biggest one. That'll be FM. So you'll want to make sure that you plug your FM adapter into the big, fat one. Last plug is Toslink, bing, bang, boom. So if you are somebody with a high-end DSP and you want to do straight optical out from the radio to your DSP, we got that. It's a purple plug that'll go back in the back of the radio, and I will go ahead and put right around now, maybe, I don't know, I'll superimpose a video or an image showing you where each of the accessory plugs go on the back of the radio, because once I go to plug it all in, it'll be really hard for me to try and get you to see behind it. So I'll just overlay an image, so as we're talking like right now, you'll probably see it here, so you know kind of what the locations are. Now there are keeper tabs, they shouldn't go into the wrong spot, but at the right angle you can probably put them in the wrong spots. I know that because people have called us and said it doesn't work, and it's been because they were in the wrong spot. So watch that picture there for that. And now the main harness. A couple things about the main harness. The Dodge Ram is special, as is the Jeep, in the fact that if you happen to be having an Alpine system, I explain this a lot, but Alpine system, let me explain this to you for all of you just in case you don't know. The Alpine system does not give you 4 inputs to the amplifier. It only gives you 2. It gives you a left and it gives you a right. It doesn't give you front and rear. So what happens is Dodge actually, on this main power harness here, they take the locations. So purple and green, if you don't know, those are rear speakers for aftermarket. Gray and white are front speakers for aftermarket. What they do is they actually remove the rear signal and then swap the pin locations. I don't know why they do that, but that's what they do. So in order for us to make one harness work with both systems, we have these 3 white plugs here. So you'll have a male side coming from the radio side, and you'll have 2 females. Now you'll see a tag on here, says high audio, low audio. High audio meaning Alpine. If you have Alpine, you're gonna take these 2 white plugs and you're gonna plug them in together. And what this is doing is internally, it is switching the locations of the front and rear speakers. Now you can plug these into the wrong ones and they will work, but what will happen is if you have non-Alpine, your fade will be backwards, which means when you call somebody, the audio will come from behind you instead of in front of you. And then if you happen to have an Alpine system and it's reversed, there's a good chance when you do Bluetooth or even voice guidance in your navigation, when it wants to pop up through that front speaker, if it's plugged into backwards, it's actually going to nothing. So you'll have no voice guidance. So if you happen to have no voice guidance and you're watching this, you might want to make sure you have this plugged in right, because what's happening is the wires that are supposed to be there, that are front, are actually going to nothing when it comes to that Alpine system, and so it's not feeding it in. This also means if you have Alpine and you try to use the fader inside our radio, it is not going to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to have music when you're faded to the front, music when you're centered, but the second you fade to the rear, you're going to lose everything, and that is because, again, only have the 2 signals. Okay, I hope I explained that well enough. So you will only use one of these. You're gonna use high or you're gonna use low. The other one just kind of leave off to the side. For us, we're working on a truck that does not have the amp, so we're gonna plug into low, and it's gonna go just like that. Last little thing here on the main harness, no, not second to last, is this one that says speaker. So there's a different, couple different variations of the Dodge truck when it comes to the sensors. So some of them will work through the factory speakers, no problem. Front sensors, rear sensors, all of the audio will work, no problem. Some of them, for whatever reason, the data is completely different and it's just not, we just cannot find it in the coding. And so what we've done is we've created an external speaker. So if you get in your truck and it's all said and done and you notice you have no sensor noise, you're gonna wanna plug that speaker in. Now you can plug the speaker in and it not hurt anything. So I would, if I was you, I would suggest plugging that speaker in and mounting it in there. Anyways, if that speaker works and the door speakers work and it annoys you, maybe unplug it. But I think you'd be better off plugging it in and then realizing what it is. I wish I could tell you what versions of RAM will or won't work. I know for the most part, 13, 14 are pretty consistent that you need the external speaker. So if you have one of the older ones, you want to make sure that you do that external speaker. But I cannot say for sure. Just is what it is. You're gonna have to try and see what happens. So last but not least are gonna be the RCAs here on the main power harness. So let me explain them to you. First one is this yellow one. That is gonna be your factory reverse camera. So actually there's gonna be 2 yellow ones. Sorry about that. And so you'll notice one says cargo input and one says reverse camera input. Now, if you happen to have both, you're gonna have to choose which one you use, or you're gonna have to use some kind of switcher that will let you flip between cargo and reverse. So you can do that with a third-party camera switcher like you would any other aftermarket radio, or again, you can purchase one of our touchscreen controlled multi-cameras where we'll give you inputs for, say, fifth wheel or reverse or front or rear, right, and then you'll be able to control it from there. But these 2 RCAs are gonna be for the factory cargo camera, factory reverse camera. And then you should have 2 sets of red and whites. One of them will say CD and one of them will say audio. Now, I mentioned the auxiliary input. So if you have the factory CD player in like your center console, or I believe some of them may even be in the glove box, and you want to retain that factory CD player, what you'll do is you'll take the RCAs that say CD audio, you'll plug those into the auxiliary input on that gray plug, and then when you hit vehicle, you'll actually have a controller on the radio. You'll be able to control the factory CD player. Now, if you don't have the factory CD player, but you have the factory 3.5 and you want to make sure that you can still plug in your old school iPod into that 3.5, you can take these auxiliary RCAs, the one that say audio input, those to our aux input, and then that'll retain that. So like I said, the power plug on this one's a little bit more in depth. Make sure you plug in your CAN box there. and that's what it's going to be. So real quick note, make sure you have the right speaker plug plugged in, make sure you have the cam box plugged in, pay attention to which camera input you have, and then yeah, that's that, guys. So what I'll go ahead and do now is I'm going to get all of this plugged in. I'm going to install our microphone. I'm going to put up here in the upper A-pillar, up by the windshield where the O-crap handle is. I'll run that down. I'm going to put our antennas in. I'll put all these plugs in, and then we are at the point where we're going to plug in our radio. We're going to snap it in, and we're going to see what it looks like. So let's speed up the video, get this stuff plugged in, and I'll see you on the other side, guys. All right, guys, so we are about ready to plug everything in, and I just want to talk real quick climate control. So depending on which version of climate control you have, there's 3 different variations when it comes to the RAM. There's a low, a mid, and a high. So if you had the factory 8-inch like we did here, you're going to be high. So there should be a harness inside your kit that says on the tag, it'll say auto AC converter. This is going to have one side that's going to plug into the factory AC control. The other panel is going to plug into the back of the radio. Now, if you had one of the low or high or mids, those are actually going to plug directly into the back of the radio, and you won't use this. So you will only use this if you have the bigger screen with the auto AC or just the big 8-inch screen. And so you'll go ahead and find that factory AC plug it in, and then this will go to the back of our radio. So a little messy here. I'm gonna just kind of clump it all together, get it all in there. And before I start to plug it in, because it's gonna be, I'm not gonna talk to you again until it's in. But you can see this square hole here. Now, everything will fit in this hole when it plugs to the back of the radio. So climate controls, keep them down here below this line. The rest of the stuff you wanna come here. Now, hear me when I say the hole is just big enough. It's just big enough. So you're gonna have to really just kind of finagle and wires in while you go in. It will go in, I know. You're gonna say it won't fit, it will. It will. You just have to keep moving things around. I know you think maybe your car is the one that's different. It's not, it's just a small hole, and it will all fit in there. It'll just take a little bit of work. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get everything plugged in. I'm gonna fight my way through it. I'm gonna get it mounted. We'll turn it on, and then we'll talk about real quick how to program the HVAC, and then you'll be rocking and rolling. We'll get to see exactly what it looks like to have a 15-inch screen in a 13 to 18 Dodge Ram. So let's get it plugged in, guys. Man, guys, I almost forgot. That is our SD card slot holder. So it's kind of a pain to reach. It's not gonna go very far. So you may wanna put that SD card in there first, or the SIM card for your service. Now, if you're gonna do it later, maybe you run this out so that it fits in a pocket or hangs down, but that's it right there. There should be an adapter that came in your kit in case you have the really small SIM card that will make it the right size, but that's where you'll plug that in. Cool, sorry about that. All right, let's keep going. All right, guys, it's hot. Let's get this thing turned on. So while this thing boots up, let me just give you a couple rundown cool new features that are only on the XL and Gen 6. One of those is a fast boot. It's really not necessarily a fast boot. What it is, it's like a sleep timer. So it's something people have asked for a long time. It's something that we've actually fought with because like a computer, if you don't reboot, eventually things crash and it causes all kinds of things. So we've kind of built in like a fail-safe. So it's gonna fast boot or sleep time for the most part, say 10 10-15 starts, and then it'll reboot a full time. So even the full time reboot isn't going to be super crazy long, but it will be, I don't know, a little bit longer than normal, but for the most part, you'll have a fast boot. So that's something new. The UI you can see is completely new. And yeah, so once you get it installed, like you'll get it powered on like we have here. So we've got it all powered on, and then we just got to set it up for the HVAC. So I mentioned we had the RAM high, so super easy process to set that. We're gonna go to settings, which this HDMI thing, I could turn that off, but whatever. Okay, settings, system, settings guide, car model AC, and this is gonna kick us to this third page. So you can see we're set to Dodge RAM low, and then other. So we are actually gonna set it to Dodge Ram high, and we are not 2019 up. If you're a 2019 up, that's what you're gonna select, the newer model. We're the older one. And what you should notice is once I hit other, it should say, do you wanna change to Dodge Ram high other? I'm gonna hit okay, and then the radio is gonna reboot and it's gonna set. So you have to do this, guys. It's just part of the install. We can't know for sure what you have in there, so you're just gonna have to run that thing. But once you've got it programmed, everything should be set to go. Your climate controls will work, seat heaters, seat coolers, all of your factory reverse camera, all those things are gonna be right there on the radio. And yeah, guys, that's how we do it around this joint, guys. This right here is a 15.6-inch screen, T-Style XL. The install is that simple. You're just gonna have to mount these trim bezels on there. Make sure you get the right ones on there. These little itty bitty screws. There are some extras. I'm pretty sure we give you extras because, well, they're tiny, and there's a good chance you're gonna lose it. We have more videos on the T-Style XL as well as cool functions and way to do things like Wi-Fi, CarPlay, Android Auto, Google Play Store, all of that stuff. How to swipe through, how to do a split screen, like you can split screen different apps. So we've got those videos. I'll make ssure that the playlist is tagged at the end of this video. But that is how you do it, guys. It is as simple as that to set up or install your T-Style XL 15-inch screen on your 13 to 14 Dodge Ram. Let me know what you think. And yeah, let's keep enjoying technology, will we? We'll see you guys next time.